Thank you, Shane. I've hit the recording button, and to everyone that's tuned in this afternoon, we're going to go through the Stilus Levy cover product. Just a special welcome to Chart as well from Johannesburg. I know you wanted us to set up a meeting, so this is the best that I can do on such short notice. I hope you find everything that I go through in the presentation useful, valuable, and that we'll have your quote requests tomorrow. Hopefully everybody can see the introduction to the Stilus Levy cover front page on their screen with a beautiful picture of Canal Walk in the background. And we are now going to go through the presentation. Please, like Shane has also mentioned, if there's any questions, type them in and we'll go through them at the end. The agenda, we're just going to cover compliance and then we're going to go through the product guide. Bear in mind today is just a test run. We're just looking at it from a technical point of view to make sure that everything is working. From a compliance point of view, in terms of phase compliance, I need to also let everybody know that we're not here to sell you anything. This is purely just to give you factual information on the Stilus insurance product. If you do want the product, you need to go through an insurance broker to request a quote and so forth. So for those of you who don't know what Stilus is and what it is we do, our product is designed to protect the sectional title communities against the non-payment of levies from those in the scheme. So you have a scheme of people who pay their levies every single month and then a handful who don't for whatever reason. That non-payment has a major impact on the cash flow of a body corporate. And Stilus is there to come to the rescue and assist those schemes. It is there to guarantee the cash flow of a body corporate. It is an insurance product, not a financial product. So when you put through a claim and the claim is paid, it is an outright payment. It is not a loan. It does not have to be paid back. Stilus makes sure that we provide cover for all levy and associated payments. And by associated payments, I will go through with you shortly what else you can claim for along with the outstanding levies. We cover anything that is covered within the sectional title scheme or the sectional title act, and that includes residential complexes, hotels, mixed-use schemes. We're quite chuffed to announce that recently we now also cover homeowners associations subject to certain terms and conditions. Terms and conditions, T's and C's, a term everybody loves these days. So, what does Stilus cover? You'll see I've paused there with a bit to say all legally recoverable amounts. A little bit later I'm going to hand over to my colleague Craig, who will explain to you why it needs to be legally recoverable and what that entails. So we cover all unpaid levies. The nice thing that we've added over the last couple of months is that we now also have an addition to this, to the policy, where you can claim for debt that has accumulated 3 years before you started your policy. So what that means is if you took your policy out today and you have got 3 years worth of backed up debt of guys that haven't paid and you have no way of recouping that money, we now allow you to put in a claim for historical debt. So you take out your policy today, you can institute today as well. The associated payments that I mentioned earlier also include electricity and water charges, any debt collection costs incurred up until the date of the claim, and I'm sure Craig will touch on that a little bit later as well, any accrued interest, as well as legal fees. So if you've got historical debt and what you've done is before you were aware that there was a fantastic product like Stilus, you handed over your arrear levies to an attorney who charged an exorbitant amount of fees and you still haven't gotten anywhere, we will cover that attorney's legal fees as well. So you send us through the claims, we will contact the attorney, we'll find out how far he is, we'll settle his fees and pay out the amount of the claim. Obviously everything needs to be assessed by our assessment center. Like with everything else, there are a few things we don't cover. For example, we do not cover levies that have already been ceded or subrogated elsewhere. Penalties and fines. And by that I mean in terms of house rules. So if someone had a raucous party last night and he had all his buddies come over and they parked where they shouldn't have parked and the noise level exceeded what it should have and he gets fined upon fine, we do not cover that. The reason for that is that those penalties and fines are usually disputed, which brings me to my next point, is we do not cover disputed claims. We also don't cover debtors who have been liquidated or sequestrated. Those claims, Craig, you're sitting here with me, those can also at some point, those claims can come through and we can look at that. But Craig will, look at all of those things on merit and he can discuss it with you later if you want to know a little bit more. Special levies, always a point of contention. If you consider the factors that drive down the value of your scheme, for example, it's not nicely painted, it looks derelict, that drives down the value of your scheme. You can't improve that because certain guys haven't paid their money. So now what do? You want to raise a special levy, but certain people aren't even paying their current levies, let alone a special levy. We allow you to put in a claim for special levies as well. The nice thing about special levies is if you now have to go and have your complex painted, I mean, those quotes can go up to anything up to $1 million plus. And you send out a notice to all the owners that you're going to raise a special levy. You have a whole lot of oohs and ahs because no one has budgeted for that, and everybody says that they will pay it over a few couple of months. What then happens is that your paint quotation is only valid for 30 days, and let's say you've been quoted $1 million. Now you go over the 30-day period, your quote now goes up to $1,200,000, but you've raised a special levy to go up to $1 million. So now you're still short. So what we say is, instead of sitting with a delay on big projects where the owners can't pay in time, put through a claim for special levies. That way you've got no increased cost for the cost of delayed maintenance, and you can move forward with maintenance projects. The benefits of having Stilus levy cover is that on historical debt, as I mentioned earlier, there is no waiting period before you can claim. On claims going forward, we sit with a 60-day waiting period, and the reason for that is that someone might just be late with their payment. So we say wait 60 days to find out that it is an actual arrear levy. We settle claims as quickly as possible. They are outright payments. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's an outright payment to a body corporate, not a loan. It also enables you to have your property maintained on a regular basis, ensures that you always have sufficient funds that are budgeted for, your cash flow is guaranteed, and trustees no longer need to act as debt collectors against fellow members. So you don't have to be that person that stays in the complex who knocks on doors and says, listen, your levies are outstanding. So we take all of that off your hands as well. I've added in here the success story for Michelle Heights, which is something that Stilus is really, really proud of. Up in Empangeni, we sat with a situation not too long ago where Michelle Heights had substantial amounts in arrears. As you can see, their position deteriorated. They had no water, they had no electricity. Fortunately for them, they were still paying their monthly premiums. The problem was that levies weren't raised correctly in terms of a resolution, and that brings us back to levies need to be legally recoverable. It cannot be recoverable if there is no resolution. Now, what we could have done, like a lot of insurance companies do, we could have said, you know what, we're terribly sorry, we cannot honor that claim. Claim is denied. But instead, because we pride ourselves in trying to ensure the moving forward of body corporates, we decided that we would fly up to Empangeni, sit with the broker and the managing agent, and see how we could help Michelle Heights. So to add insult to injury, not only were there no levies raised correctly, there were also no trustees, and we needed to guide them and educate them on the entire process that involved. What we did was Craig flew up to Empangeni, met with Charlene and the managing agents. We then explained to them that they needed trustees and how to go by electing them. From that, we assisted them in having the correct resolutions passed. The trustees then had to reverse all the levies incorrectly raised and then raise a special levy for the arrear amounts owed by each owner. And that is how we were able to assist them from a point of no water, no electricity to where they are now. And you will see at the bottom of your screen, I put there in very big red NB, levies have to be legally recoverable. Like I said earlier, we could have walked away because there was no resolution, but instead we decided to assist them. Their premiums were up to date, so why turn away a paying client? Speaking of the premium, I'm sure everybody wants to know how much it is. We look at a premium of 10 Rand per unit per month and a minimum of 100 Rand a month. So if you have a small complex of less than 10 units, your premium will be no more than 100 Rand per month. Quickly, I'm going to run you through claims. As I mentioned earlier, we have two parts to our policy, the first being levies going forward and levies going backwards, as I like to put it. Going forward, there is no excess like you have with other insurance policies. If you put through a claim for 2,000 Rand, 2,000 Rand will be paid out in full, provided that your minimum claim is 1,000 Rand. On arrear levies, this is now levies that you had outstanding before you took out the policy with us. There is a minimum claim of 5,000, but if you're sitting with historical debt, chances are your claim is a lot more than 5,000. And your excess is 1,500 or 10%, whichever one is the greater. Making a claim is very easy. Brokers, we make life a lot easier for you. You don't have to get involved in the claim process. We do, however, keep you notified during the course of events. So we will notify you if one of your clients has put through a claim, when it was paid, and so forth. Managing agents and body corporates can put the claims straight through via email to claims@Levy Cover, as you can see on your screen. We will need all supporting documents, including the debtors' current lists and so forth. If all your documents are in order, your claim will be registered. Payment is made directly to the body corporate. We then ask that the body corporate credit the account of each and every outstanding debtor with Levy Cover claims payment, and when I hand over to Craig, he will explain to you why that's very important. The team and I like to call them more the family that I work with at Stilus are always able to assist the guys. We pride ourselves in holding your hand through the entire process, so you're never left in the dark not knowing what you need to fill in and what to do next. A nifty tool to have is that if you've got a regular default, if you've got an absolute problem child who continuously defaults, you are able to put in a claim as often as every 2 months. It does go up to a threshold point of 10% being the value of the unit. So if you have a unit valued at a million, your maximum that you can claim to would be 100,000. Am I correct? My maths is not so great. Yes. For the managing agents that we have listening in today, we just want to run through the role that the managing agent plays with Stilus as well. You will send through your claims, you'll make them directly through to Stilus, and we will then obviously keep the brokers informed. We will check that all the resolutions are in place when we assess claims. We also, because you guys have got to put through all the paperwork as well, and we know it's quite a tiresome exercise, we allow for a claims preparation cost for each and every individual claim that comes through. All invoices for those preparation costs need to come through at the same time when you submit the claim as well. And then a payment will be made to the body corporate in terms of the claim, and a separate payment to the managing agents for their preparation cost fee. Requesting a quote is very simple. We've also allowed for our website now is also geared to have quotes come through directly that way, which seems to be working quite nicely. But we just need 5 pieces of information when requesting a quote. That being the body corporate's full name, physical address, number of flats, and at least telephone number, contact details of managing agent if there is one applicable, and the total sum insured. That you just put in an email that has to come through from the brokers. So managing agents, if you do have that information, what you can do is you can send it straight through to your broker, you can compile it and have them send it through to us for a request a quote. And you can just email it through to us, you can call us direct, or you can do it through the website. That brings us nearly to the end of the Stilus product. It seems a lot more complicated than it is. It's essentially, we just covered what Stilus is, what it costs, what we cover and what we don't. All our claims are paid through ABSA Insurance Risk Management Services. And while I still have everybody's attention on the line, I'm just going to quickly go through what I'm really proud of being the Stilus website. When you have a chance, if you haven't yet already, please do take the time to go and look at www.stilus.co.za. You'll note at the bottom of your screen, there's a little section that says Chat with Us. What that allows for is that if you can't get hold of us, if we're sitting with load shedding or whatever the case may be, you can click on that, you can chat to us live and direct. There's a little test run over there which I've done with Tony, where you can ask us a question on anything you don't understand, any information you need, and we will give it to you then and there. I spoke earlier about requesting a quote from the brokers. You can request it straight through. You can navigate through the pages. You can send a quote through instead of an email straight through the website. You can do it from your phone. Our website is geared to fit onto tablets as well as cell phones. For the brokers that I have spoken to and those who haven't made use of the opportunity yet, we do have a broker network page where we're not allowed to go ahead and recommend a broker, if one can put it that way. What you can do is, if you want to, I can list you on our broker network page. If someone's looking for a broker in the area, if they want to change brokers, we can say to them we cannot recommend. However, you're welcome to have a look at the network page and choose one that's in your area. Everything is hyperlinked, so they can have your contact details. If they're looking at it on their phone and they're in the area, they can click on the little car. It'll give them the navigation route to you. We've had a lot of good feedback, and some of our guys have had business through the website, through the broker network. I'm looking to shortly add a managing agent broker, listen to me, managing agent network page as well. And of course, from my marketing point of view, I say when you're on the website, go and click on our Facebook page. I do weekly blogs. There's a little bit of information, be it on legislation, be it on something new in the Sectional Title Act, be it on insurance or whatever the case may be. Sometimes I'll just give you what's happening in and around the office or in Cape Town, just so that we can always stay in touch with you. And there's a nice quick squiz as to what our Facebook page looks like. And that then officially brings us to the end of the presentation. Shane, are you still online? Shane?
I am, Lisa, and it's going well. The recording is coming through beautifully.
Oh, fantastic.
And I think that was great.
That's good. Do we have any questions, Shane? From what you can... Not at this stage.
Not at this stage. I'm not seeing any at this stage, no.
Not at this stage. I just want to hand over to Craig. I know he was making some notes while I was chatting. I know there's one or two points that I said he would take over and just explain and discuss and go through very briefly. So let's just hold on a moment, and I'm going to hand over to Craig. Here we go.
Hi everyone, you're listening to Craig. I head up the Compliance, Legal and Collections Department at Stilus. A term which Lisa frequently referred to was legally recoverable. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the historical debt, but I will also address the term. Under legally recoverable, what happens is a claim is paid. Such claim is then subrogated to us, and we need to collect on that claim. We thus, before payment of a claim, need to make sure that it is legally recoverable to make sure that we can collect. In doing that, what we will basically look at, we will check whether all the resolutions are in place and whether the levies were correctly raised. Especially on the historical debt part of it all, we will check whether any of the claims have prescribed. Now, on the historical debt part of it, the assessment is a bit more intricate in the sense that the body corporate, or rather the managing agent, could have handed those debts over to an attorney for collection. So what we do is we also cover those attorney's fees. Now, for my sins, I've been a practicing attorney for a while before I joined Stilus, and I guess that's for the rest of my sins still to come. So we receive the historical debt claim. I will then contact the attorney. First of all, what we will ask him is for a brief report to see what status the matter is at, whether judgment has been granted, and then we will also ask him for his outstanding fees. The reason for doing that is I will then assess the fees. If it's reasonable, we'll pay it. If not, we can always ask the attorney to have it taxed, which is something I prefer not to do because we know that with hold-ups at court, it could take some time and we want to pay claims quickly. So I will have a look at the fees and basically we will just settle it. That attorney, with the claim then having been subrogated to us, will then collect on our behalf. He will account to us and he will report to us. It thus leaves the managing agent to actually manage a scheme and not chase after debtors, appoint people to make the phone calls. We are, or rather born from the Stilus Levy cover product, was Stilus Debt Collect. We are registered with the Debt Collectors Council, and we can only charge fees in accordance with the Debt Collectors Act. The reason why I'm mentioning that is that I'm sure that we all know with attorneys the fees are quite high. You can have an attorney writing a letter for 450 Rand. In terms of the Debt Collectors Act, we are only entitled to a fee of 17 Rand plus VAT. Our fees are also capped at 695 Rand plus VAT on a matter. The significance of that is that the debtor actually can breathe. You don't kill him with legal fees. We try to do our collections with a soft approach, but I must add firm, in the sense that we will rather call you. We have a much friendlier approach, which at the end of the day result in the debtor contacting you if he has a problem and he cannot pay. On the historical debt, if the attorney will advise me that he has obtained judgment, my first question will be when. Because even if that claim or that part of the claim on the historical debt is older than 3 years, you can go further back and collect for further than 3 years because judgment has been granted before such 3-year period. On the other point which Lisa also mentioned, a liquidated or sequestrated debtor, or rather unit owner, it's difficult for the managing agent to determine beforehand that a unit owner has been liquidated or sequestrated depending on what type of party it is. So you basically find this out after the claim has been paid. What we then do is we won't expect the body corporate to pay the money back in terms of the claim. An administrator will be appointed for the sequestrated or liquidated estate. I will then contact such administrator and ask that our claim be included on the list of creditors. Inevitably, the unit will be sold, and that is where we then recover on our claim. The other point Lisa also touched on was the payment on the managing agent side being indicated as a levy cover claims payment. The significance of that is that the debtor should not at any stage, or the unit owner should not at any stage think that he owes nothing. He still owes the amount to us. With the historical debt, there's an excess, which can be seen as a first loss for the body corporate. So, in short, that is how we recover on claims and how we do the assessment on the historical debt part of it. The good thing about it all is that everything is taken away, or rather, everything the managing agent can return to what he should do. We handle the debt. We can report on a monthly basis to the managing agent, to a broker on a collection matter. We have dedicated debt collection software. In our office, we can do searches on unit owners if it is that they don't live or reside at the unit. So everything is done in-house in order to keep costs low. I haven't seen any questions come through yet, but if there is any questions, the rest I will answer via email. So please feel free to drop Lisa an email and I will then answer to that as well. I'm handing you guys back to Lisa. Thank you.
Right, everyone. If everyone can still hear me, that brings us to the end of our test webinar. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and wishing everyone a really. Hold on, I see Renier. Typical. Yes, Renier. I see you have a question. Do you want to? you want to send your question through? Shane, are you able to assist from a technical point of view?
Yeah, I am, Lisa. I can just talk you guys through it. If you want to ask a question at this point, please click on the red arrow and send it through. If you would prefer to ask your question, you do need to have a microphone though. And Lisa, I think, do you want to pause the recording at this stage? You can stop the recording if you want. I think we're done with the recording. It's up to you if you wanted to keep it going, but I think it's probably a good idea to stop the recording. But folks, if you want to send your message through, Lisa will then read it and then answer it. I think that's how we can handle it.